Have a story to tell? I believe you. Ghost, cryptids, the unknown. Let's talk about it. This is my GhostCast.
Hey, GhostCast fans. This week's episode features a good friend of mine, John Nguyen. He's going to tell a story from his childhood about a house of horrors. Welcome to the Brown House.
Hi, welcome to our next episode of My GhostCast. This is your host, Therese Gonzalez. Today, I'm interviewing a gentleman by the name of John Nguyen. John, welcome to the program.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself, or tell the audience, get to know you,
Okay.
enjoy your beard like I am.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Asian
with the beard, man. Dynasty Warrior. Yeah.
Vietnamese Keanu Reeves, yeah. All right. So to tell you guys a little bit about my background, my family is from Vietnam. They lived there primarily in the 30s and 40s. And from there, I am a family of 9. So I'm seven child in a family of 9.
Nice.
My dad was also in the army, and he fought in Korea and he fought in Vietnam. Eventually, they wanted to defect from the country because of communism and moved over to America. Yeah, America.
Yeah. See, I like John already.
They moved to the Americas in the 70s, early 70s. From there, they already had a bunch of kids. And so all the younger siblings in my family were born in America, which is pretty cool. So
wow.
Anyway, to kind of give a fascination of why I like paranormal and ghosts.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. What got you drawn to the supernatural and what have you?
My parents are hardcore Catholics. When they were young, grandparents had them, go to Catholic school, die hard, like you do this. The Catholicism in Asian countries is very different from traditional here in America. They're a lot stricter. The nuns, the priests, they were allowed to hit kids, allowed to beat them. Because if you're not going to follow their ways, it's a no-no.
They used to do that here for a long time, too.
Yeah.
They really did. And I totally agree with it. I would beat kids if I had a chance. I think that's one of my secret pleasures. Why'd I tell you? I didn't do it. I know, but it just feels so good. I can't stop hitting you. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. There's a lot of horror stories about situations my parents were in, including my aunts and uncles. But what really got me into paranormal is the stories they used to tell my father in the war about what his band of camaraderie, his friends and his troops, the guys in his platoon would witness. And even when he was in school, with all the things that were happening, the jokes and pranks that were just gone wrong. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. That got me fascinated. So I am again in a family of 9. What makes me unique, I guess, if you want to say, my birthday is 7/7/77.
What?
I'm also the 7th child in the family. And if you consider Saturday the 7th day of the week, I was born on Saturday.
I think that's the original Sabbath, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah. We changed it to Sunday. It'd be easier.
Born on 9 a.m. So that's the only thing. If I had that last 7, play the lottery, but I didn't.
Well, you know what, dude? If you let's say maybe she had a particular contraction at 7 a.m. You say, that's when he kicked extra hard.
Force it up a little bit. Come on, let's get this thing done.
Start pulling the cord. It's like, come on, let me out. This is cold in here. It's draining out.
And on top of the stories that my parents used to tell, my grandma was also a great storyteller in her younger years before she passed. Man, she would tell me some good stories.
Houston Podcast Studio. Podcast done right. They are your source for professional podcast production. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or someone looking to start a podcast, they can help you create something to be proud of.
All right. So the segment today I was really talking about is this situation that's very, very fresh in my mind, even though it is back in 1992, 93. It's been a while, but it was called the Brown House.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody get that? The brown house. Not to be mistaken for something else brown shoe. Racist, you know.
So my sister was married in New Jersey. And so she had 2 kids, raised them in New Jersey until their younger years. Eventually, she wanted to be closer to the family. And my mom's like, hey, they moved to Houston. You know, I mean, it's going to be cool. We could all be close together. No big deal. They packed up, got in a RV or whatever you call that, a U-Haul, hauled all their stuff, moved down to Houston. And so they were looking for a place to probably just rent temporarily. And my uncle had a friend he knew because he was part of this rock band when he was young, you know, slap at the bass and all that.
Nice.
He knew this lady who was renting a house. And this neighborhood was actually not too far from where my parents were, probably like 15 minutes. She's like, okay, I have this house to rent. That's cool, you know. And so you can do this and that. So they ended up meeting this lady and through my uncle, and they rented this house. So the first night we were there, we were, you know, helping them get all settled, get the beds into their bedrooms. And eventually all the kids were sitting around and they're just playing, and they were grilling the older people were grilling in the back, and all the kids were sitting in the living room. So eventually we were like, hey, what are we going to do tonight? Because we're bored. And this is 92, 93, no cell phones.
Yeah.
Probably we probably had Nintendo at the time.
Yeah,
No, nothing significant. But we started telling ghost stories, like little fools. And we were like, oh yeah, you know, let's make this up, you know, tell this is funny. And it ended up the first thing that we were sitting in a circle, like a little powwow. So everyone would just go, going from oldest to youngest. And I remember the first incident. This is my first incident. We see a tall shadow figure walk by the window. And everybody's like, ooh, that's creepy. Oh, look at that. You know what I mean? Because we were thinking it's my brother-in-law because he's had the same height, tall, slender. And next thing you hear is a keys jiggle and the doorknob turn, and it's a click. We're like, okay, cool. No, so he just went to the garage. And the way the house was formatted, the garage is not connected to the house. The door is actually on the outside. So you have to leave the front door in order to get to the garage. So everybody was finished telling ghost stories, and we're having our fun. We're like, hey, let's go get some hot dogs and hamburgers. They're grilling in the back. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna get some root beer. I love that stuff. So we walk out to the backyard to get some grub, and my brother-in-law is standing there, and we're like, hey, what's in the garage? He's like, I don't know. The previous owners locked it. We're like, didn't you just go to the garage? He's like, I don't know what's in there. It's probably just their storage stuff because they were trying to put everything in the garage before we moved here because we kind of got here pretty quickly. We're like, oh, okay. So that kind of, you know, the low light bulb in the head, like something's going on here. So
you're like,
exactly. Eventually, we got them all settled. Everything is in the house, no big deal. And my sister noticed that things weren't feeling. It's like a feeling heaviness. Like a lot of people would say, if you have a ghost, there's a little bit of feeling of heaviness.
Yeah.
So the one incident that the first incident actually when she had was when the kids were playing in their playroom and they left their stuff everywhere. And she's calling them out, hey, let's go out to the kitchen. It's time to eat. And so the kids were always, they played, back in the 90s, my niece and nephew would always follow what we play. So they played the G.I. Joes and the Ninja Turtles.
Little Transformers.
Yeah, Wuzzles
robots.
And all that. And they love that stuff. Just things everywhere. So this is not something easy to do. When she walked into the room to help them clean up, all the toys were in the trunk.
What?
Yeah. And she said that she didn't hear anything. Like, it was just so quick. So it was like a snap of a finger. She walks in and everything is cleaned up. And what's significant about this toy room is there was they had a little day bed set in there for people to take a nap, and this awkward looking closet with a hinge door, and there was a trunk, but it was actually the bench that would face the window. So you would sit on the trunk itself and you flip it up. But thing is, if you lift the trunk, it has a squeak. So there's no way that someone could have got in there, because it was just a family of 4, that someone would come in, open the trunk without hearing the squeak, and put all the toys back into place. So,
dang, dude, that's I'm already getting kind of flashbacks to certain.
Yeah, that's her first incident.
Oh man.
So my younger.
Go ahead.
So to continue the story, I have 3 sisters. So my oldest sister, Cassandra, was the one that lived in the house, and she was the one that had that experience.
Oh man.
And
someday we'll meet the sister, or we'll put something up so you can see. Oh.
Yeah. Eventually, I'll try to get all 3 of my sisters, because all 3 of them have incidents in this house.
No, man, that's gonna be interesting when we put all that together.
So my younger sister at the time, she was just a few years older. I'm about 14, 15 years old. She's about, I say, 5 years younger. She's might be 9 or 10. Every time she would go to the house, she would cry. She just didn't feel right. She just did not like the house. And she would refuse to go into the rooms. And I know it's that old saying, pets and animals and kids, they see things, they know things, they sense things. I think she sensed something. Something was not right. So
man, that feeling kicks in, man, way more often than you think.
Yeah.
Well, guys, real quick, we're about to get into the meat of the story. But in the meantime, we're going to take a small break. We'll be right back. Hold on to your seat and hold on to your popcorn. Again, this is My GhostCast. Today's guest is John Nguyen. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to My GhostCast. I'm your host, Therese Gonzalez, and we're back with our special guest, John Nguyen. John,
Right.
All right, let's continue this. Let's go deeper into this brown house.
All right. So we're gonna take a fast forward a few months, and just a note: my sister did live at this house for 1.5 years, so she had to endure some stuff. I had a date. I was in 10th grade, homecoming.
Ooh,
cute,
the
yeah,
90s, huh?
cute Laos girls, cute Laos girl. I'm not gonna give her real name. I'm just gonna call her Joy. How about that?
I
I'm gonna
bet.
call her Joy. I'm not gonna disclose her real name.
Dirty Birdie, Joy.
So I was taking Joy to homecoming, and of course we were trying to get together with some friends that were driving. I was 15. I didn't drive yet, so I was like, all right, Joy, we're going to pick you up. Where do you live? She's like, oh, I live in this street over here. The neighborhood is Willowwood. And, you go past the bridge and you do this. And I was like, oh, okay. I know that neighborhood. She goes, oh, you do? Are you living there? Or I was like, no, my sister lives there. She goes, oh, okay, that's cool. Where does she live? I go, when you pass the bridge, it's the second house on the right. She goes, second house on the right. Is it brown? Is the brown house? I was like, yeah, we're renting it out. She goes, everybody knows that house is haunted in the neighborhood.
What?
And I was like, what the hell? How did the owner not disclose this? She goes, yeah, there's been rumors of stuff going on, and I guess the family in there is just renting it out, or they're trying to sell it. And I was like, oh man, I want to hear some of these stories. So I of course, I had to indulge in some of the stuff that she was saying, and sure enough, like a lot of the stories were pretty true. But of course, people would enhance, some crazy things like, oh, I see flashing lights all through the windows, and nothing like that. Nothing that mystical.
Nothing too poltergeistish,
Right. So again, my sister, this is my middle sister this time. This is my sister, Teresa. She went to medical school, and she would visit from UTMB Galveston. And so when she'd visit, again, that weird, heavy feeling when you come in the house, like, something didn't feel right. Your shoulders are tight. And of course, one day she's in the afternoon, she's sitting there talking on the phone because, we didn't have cell phones, landline, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The light flickered. And she's like, there's not a thunderstorm outside. Why is the light flickering? No big deal. And then that same week, had a friend, her and her friend were staying over, and they stayed in the second bedroom. This house had 3 bedrooms, but technically the small one is a toy room with the trunk we were speaking of earlier. They shared a bedroom, and probably 2:30, 3 in the morning, the girl woke up, sat up a little bit. She saw a figure standing at the foot of the bed. Tall. She mentioned he was a tall, slender figure. And suddenly she was pushed down. She was laying on the bed, and she couldn't move. And so she was muffled. She was like trying to speak to my sister. My sister, of course, is half asleep. It's like 2:30, 3 in the morning. She's like, just go to sleep. Stop making noise. And she was held down, and her arm was getting dragged to the dresser. So if you're coming into the bedroom,
What? Oh man.
the bed is going to be against the window on the left. So if you're laying down, the bedroom door is going to be on your right at the front of the room, and the dresser is right next to the closet. So she's laying on the bed, and she's sleeping on the right side. Suddenly, she was getting her arm picked up, and it was getting dragged into the little arm dresser on the side, and it was getting slammed into the dresser. Yeah. So it was getting, and then suddenly he released her, and she screamed. And of course, woke up everybody in the house who was there, and they were like, what is going on? Her wrist right here was bruised. And she was like, did you not see him? I was trying to wake you up. She's like, what happened? She said, I saw a tall figure standing at the foot of the bed, and he did this to me. That girl never came back.
What?
Never visited again. She's like, if I'm going to visit your family, we got to go somewhere else. I'm not, no.
Oh, that's messed up, man.
Yeah.
There wasn't like any cigarettes on the side of the house, right? On that side of the drawer. Some A lot of the Asians I know do a lot of smoking.
yeah, they
like, hey, can you light this up for me?
They do it. Yeah, they roll the bear tobacco. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's creepy, dude. Holy crap, man.
So the house now is a well-known haunted house, and my sister and my brother-in-law are now noticing things that are happening. They had a friend of theirs ended up. He's like, hey, you have a spare bedroom? Let me go rent it out. So this guy rents it out.
I'm like, false.
And sure enough, first night, he hears voices. And we kind of go back to your story in episode 1 where you're like, it was like that. Yeah, you hear voices, and they're very distinct, like really loud enough that it woke him up in the middle of the night, but there's no one there. And of course, it's only my my brother-in-law, my sister, her 2 kids, and him. No one else. And not only did he hear voices, but he would hear walking in the attic. And crazy enough, no one has ever gone to the attic for anything. And no one knows why. I think there's no why, because I would not do it.
There's not a good reason to ever go to an attic in a haunted house. There's there's a incident that I saw on a show called Paranormal Caught on Camera. Mm-hmm. And they're showing you that they were having instances like that, like exactly like you're describing. Mm-hmm. And they're in the attic. And this guy starts videotaping as he's opening the attic. Mm-hmm. And you see some stuff move. And all of a sudden, boxes start getting thrown at the opening where he's at. Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, it's over.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm not going to the attic. I'm not going to. I'm not sitting there. I'm like, no, dude, I'm good.
Plus, I get hot easily, so I'm just going to lay down here in the cold with the evil.
So the guy ended up, their friend stayed only a week. I mean, from hearing voices to footsteps on the ceiling, and then like walking in the attic. He heard knocking on the walls. I mean, this is a deterrent already. This guy packed up as quick as he could. 1 week, that's all he stayed.
Same house, huh?
Yeah, same house.
Good old brown house, man.
Yeah, no, the brown house was crazy. Usually when people think of ghosts and paranormal things happening, it's usually at night, or they call the devil's hour, like late in the morning.
Midnight.
Yeah. So I have a brother who at the time was a smoker. And this is probably 9:30, 10 a.m. And I'll get to another story with him because it's pretty funny. Mm. So he had his fix, went outside, left the door cracked, was smoking, door closes, ghost latches it on him.
What?
Yeah, the ghost locks the door on him. He banged for a good 5 minutes trying to wake somebody up. This is like 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, the ghost was woke. They're like, "There's no smoking allowed."
Don't my house with that tobacco stuff, man. So because my family was so large and we would visit my sister a lot because we weren't too far from my parents, we would come over and do sleepovers. And kind of like when big families, Hispanic families are big, Asian families are usually big too. You just lay out a big sheet and you just line people up sleeping.
Man, those were the funnest times, weren't they? Sometimes?
Yeah. Let's get a little powwow going. And there was this joke that, or I don't know if it's an urban legend at all, but it's a joke. It's the chicken always sleeps in the middle. The scaredy cat always sleeps in the middle. Sure enough, my brother Chris is a big chicken shit, scared of ghosts. So all the kids are sleeping in the living room. We probably had 6 or 7 of us lined in a row. He pops right in the middle between like the girls. And he's like, I want to sleep here because just in case, I'll protect you
with your bodies.
Uh-huh. Sure enough, 12:30 in the morning, he gets his leg pulled.
What?
Yeah, he gets his leg pulled, jumps out, screams like a little girl. Yeah, like one of those little screeches. And I swear he never spent another night there. Like he would visit during when there's food and stuff, and there's large crowds, but he would not go over there during quiet time, visiting after dark. And that same story goes with my brother Mike, my oldest brother. He would never spend the night there. That guy is a big chicken shit too. Both of them.
Shout out to my.
I know Mike and Chris, big chicken shits.
We'll have their profile in the. You guys can follow them. All right.
One of the probably biggest incidents I had was there was a night my dad's cousin was getting married. So everyone's like, "Oh, John, call him over here. He's gonna babysit the kids tonight." So at the time, the kids are 2 years old, 4 years old, playing around. Of course, I'm not like Ninja Turtles, Transformers with you guys. Let's go have fun. 8:00 p.m. Everyone heads off to the wedding, and I'm over here in the brown house, scared shitless in the corner.
You by yourself?
Yeah, I'm with them by myself, just the three of us.
Oh.
And I'm looking around every time, like anything happens, a creak, a noise. Sure enough, 9-ish, 10-ish, light flicks a few times. I'm like, crap, dude, no, not now. Not on my watch. Why? Scary stuff.
That's how that works out most of the time.
Because I'm trying to keep the kids corralled in one corner and not let them venture off to get go in danger or something. But
this is what you were telling me when you helped.
I was scared shitless for like 4.5 hours straight. They didn't come back till probably like 12:30 a.m.
Oh my god!
Oh, so scary. Eventually, my niece was going. She wanted a certain toy. I was like, okay, you go into the toy room. Okay, let me pick up the little one. We'll walk together. Of course, kids like to run first. So she's running to the toy room, and suddenly, boom, door slams on her. And I was like, crap. No, I'm just scared for her because I thought like it might have hit her, but it didn't. But the certain aspect about this toy room was it was the one that had the most action in it. They had this, again, we're going back to earlier when I was telling about the weird door closet. One night, I'm going to draw it back. My sister, Veronica, the one that was scared and she'd always cry when she comes over to the house, we were playing hide and seek. So she hid. Yeah, I know.
What a play! Oh no, I'm gonna be here.
She hid under the daybed, and the daybed, of course, sits opposite corner from the closet. And she was like,
"Which room is this one? This is still
the toy room. Toy room.
And on the map, on the schematics on it, that's the one closest to the living room.
Yes. It's the first room closest to the living room. And what happens is she sees the green light. There's a light under the door. So, of course, when she's playing hide and seek, she sees it. She runs out. And everybody's like, why are you not hiding? We're like, we caught you. She's like, no, something's not right. She starts crying. Again, she's crying like every time she goes over here. She does not like this house. And the same night that I was babysitting my nieces, sure enough, green light under the door.
Green light? Oh.
Yeah, the green light. There was a green light under the door. Totally creeped out.
Oh my god! There's a story that's gonna come, and it's with an interview I did with a really good friend of mine, Josh, and it connects to the light under the door. Except ours wasn't light. It wasn't green. It was I shit myself. Shit myself white.
The green was from poo poo from his pants.
Yeah, the green was in my pants. Oh my god, man, that's dude, we're gonna get to some. Oh man, I'm just having flashbacks of some of my incidents right when you're telling that story. Well, this is a good spot for a quick break, guys. This is My Ghost Cast. Our guest is John Nguyen. He's telling us about what's called the Brown House. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to my GhostCast. Today's guest, John Nguyen. He's letting us into his world of fear that he lived in the brown house and all the incidents that go with it. Guys, I got to tell you, a lot of these stories that my guests tell, these are funny right now, but at the time, man, you really are scared. What do you think, John? I mean, a lot of these stories are nothing compared to the movies we watch.
No, they're very different. A lot of movies they feed on the fact that they put undertones with their music in the background and their shock factor and their jump scares, but psychologically they don't have that, and that's genuine. Because man, if you're a young teenager, like about to poop your pants watching this haunted house, babysitting two young siblings, like there's no fear that instill into you like that versus like watching a horror movie. Yeah, I mean, I love watching horror movies, and I don't care. I'll sit in front of the screen on the jump scares, and it just won't faze me. You know, you're probably the same.
Yeah, the same thing with haunted houses. Like you go for Halloween,
right?
I'm like, okay, yeah.
I'm the front person.
Yeah, because like in movies and stuff, they'll give you like, hey, something's coming based on the music or this and that. No, man, we're having these incidents. It's quiet as hell.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it just shows up in there, or it's you could feel it, and that's what's one of the pieces that's missing out. They can't help it on some of the movies to leave that piece out, but you know, I try to explain that to some of the students I have, and they're like, "You ain't afraid of that, Mr. Phil?" I'm like, "No, that's nothing compared to the real thing." When you're
right,
because you're right next to John's ear. Hey, John.
I know.
Dude, that's weird.
That's actually a different story about a little girl in a different house, but I'll talk to about that on another incident. But
I like your Keanu Reeves beard.
Need for speed.
Instead of John Wick, it's John Wink.
John Wink.
Wink.
Yeah. What's good is I'm glad that you've had the same experience, because I've known you and your wife for about a year or two, and I worked with your wife, and she used to tell me these stories about how you were experiencing some of this stuff. This is how you and I met. And
we were supposed to do this in the beginning, but this is even better. I know. We'll put it in now. How we know each other. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so I worked with Therez's wife for a few years, and really good soul. She's like, "Oh, I have this cute husband," and I'm like, "All right, let's go meet this guy." So we were introduced, and I think we hit it off when we were talking about how we had a love for Wolverine. Yes, you remember that? Because I used to try to grow my beard out like Wolverine, you know, like.
Oh, dude, you're gonna make me do it. I'm gonna actually post a picture of myself when I was in middle school, in high school, when I was dressed up as Wolverine. Oh.
Yeah, especially he was with his fighting background, his Japanese background, and also he's short.
Yep. So we're the same height, dude. You want to hear something else creepier? So Wolverine, first appearance ever, October 1974. My first appearance.
Really? Your
October
birthday?
1974.
That's
What's
crazy.
up, baby? Look, I'm trained ninja. He got from the hand.
Yeah, so don't get him mixed up with the actor who's 6 foot tall.
Oh yeah, for real.
No, Wolverine's like 5 foot, 5'6", 3 or something like that.
He's 5'6".
He's 5'6". All right, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I have all his stats, dude. I'm like, that's my idol. All right. Well, enough about how awesome I am. Let's go. John's got these awesome stories that you guys got to hear. Sorry, John, go ahead.
One of the gross incidents that I had is the old story of how when a spirit appears or is in, I guess, vicinity, about how things of the earth, usually like worms, frogs, toads, things of that, appear in hordes. One night, actually it wasn't really night, it was late afternoon, but late afternoon towards the evening, my sister, of course, Veronica, the one that's scared to be in the house, and my middle sister, the one that had Teresa, the one that had the incident with her friend, were opening the door, and they had a chow. My younger nieces, had a chow dog, and so they opened the screen door to, take the dog out. Next thing you know, frogs, toads, worms and stuff were jumping inside the house.
What?
by the tons. And they were screaming. And they were like, oh my God, there's all this stuff coming in. What the hell? Where's it come from? Again, I think that was just him trying to introduce himself as the top dog and be like, don't come to my house with the spirit.
Yeah, I always wondered what the connection is with, all that. I would, if I were you, I probably thought, oh, it's the end of days.
I know, right? End of the world. Meteor's coming.
Pestilence. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, that whole old story of the beings of the earth and everything like that. But to move forward, no one really lived in the house besides my brother-in-law, my sister, and my two nieces. But eventually there was a guy who braved it out. He's like, hey, let me rent this room out. I'm okay with it. And they're like, hey, just give you a heads up, things are going to happen that are not natural.
Yeah, like
he's like, oh, it's all good. It's all good. So my brother-in-law used to throw a lot of parties, and these guys would get drunk all the time. I'm talking about like four days a week, sometimes 5. So they're always partying, and of course, they always use the second bedroom as a place to nap. Well, one of the guys eventually, he requested to go ahead and rent this room out, one of his drunken buddies. And he used to tell this story how things would happen, kind of like the first guest who only stayed for a week. And so the bed would shake. He's like, hey, man. Yeah. So hear voices, of course. Bed would shake. He's like, oh, yeah, keep shaking that bed. That's a good massage. And then,
are you serious? Oh.
Yeah, like he would provoke the spirit. And then he'd hear the footsteps and the running in the attic. He's like, yeah, you're like tapping to the music to my ears, and keep knocking with you. We'll do like a drum beat on the wall. What? And so he would, and this guy actually stayed for a while, and come to find out that he knew who the ghost was.
Oh no!
So he provoked the ghost, knowing that who the ghost was, because he knew the owner of the house and who had passed away.
What?
Yeah.
Is that who?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So after so many incidents, my sister's like, all right, I mean, we've gone through this for a year and a half. I mean, luckily no one got hurt. We know there's an entity here. And my sister just got fed up, started screaming at the spirit, like, stop, turn off the lights, stop doing these things to us. I'm gonna leave. So eventually she did move out. So on the last day that she was moving out that evening, he appeared.
What?
He appeared one time to her. She had never seen him the whole time. She'd always get what he does in the house, as far as like the light figures, the noises, the walking, the voices, things of that sort, but she never saw him. So on the last day in which she moved, he appeared. Sure enough, tall, slender figure, she described him. And so she eventually she spoke. She tried to contact the owner for a while, and this lady would not just really say anything. And then eventually, from what I was talking to people in the neighborhood, from my friend Joy, she was like, yeah, this is rumors about so-and-so died, and it comes to find out the one that died in the house was Dad.
What?
So the father died in the house. From what rumors I heard, he had a heart attack, and it was in the bathroom across from the toy room.
Oh, dude.
He had a heart attack, fell, hit his head, passed, like he was gone almost instantly. And the story was he wanted to keep the house for his son. And the wife would never disclose who it was until finally my sister described the ghost down to a T, like what he was wearing and everything. And she's like, she almost put her in tears. She's like, that was my husband. He did pass here. I admit it. And she's like, why didn't you tell me this whole time? You held back. I tried to contact you. You wouldn't get back to me. And then now that I see him on the last day of moving out, you're going to admit that he died here. So,
oh, dude,
yeah, it was.
That's creepy as hell.
Mhm.
And you know, I always wondered about that because I went through a lot of incidents where back when I lived in San Antonio, I lived in old ass apartments in the ghetto.
Yeah.
And so I went through an incident where, and I'll tell the story one day. It's funny as hell, but it's scary as hell at the same time. And I went through all these incidents, kind of like your family did. And my sisters, my little baby sisters, both of them, would stay with me over the summers. So they would experience the same thing. And, you know, I'm like, oh, sure enough, I find out, yeah, something happened in that apartment, and I wasn't told about it till later. They're like, you're not really. I remember asking through it about as well when I was doing real estate school. And I'm like, hey, what about haunted houses or apartments? They're like, well, they don't have to tell you about it. Well, this was back then, but they don't have to tell you about it unless you ask. So if you don't ask,
yeah.
Now I always ask.
Yeah.
When I go to a new place, hey, this haunted, even like the new place we're having built, I'm like, hey, is this graveyards or anything? I don't want to find out that from some kind of Indian plot,
right?
You know, and then we'd have all this stuff coming after me. Wow.
So in a future story, my sister Cassandra, who's actually the one that rented the house with her ex-husband, my brother-in-law, she actually has another house that was paranormal. But we'll get that into a future story. From what I understand, the house now looks like this. I did visit the house recently within the last week.
Okay.
I did take a picture, and Perez will show it here.
Yeah.
It has changed a lot. The new owners, current owners, I mean, have renovated and they've changed the house. It's no longer brown. So if you're looking for a brown house, it's not there anymore. But when she left the house, there was a family that was coming after to rent it, but we never heard from that mom and the son again.
So you didn't go talk to the new people, did you? You come
no.
to ask them, hey man.
All I know is it was a couple with a son, and we were seeing them looking at the house ready to rent when we were moving out. But I didn't portray any information because it's not my business. But
yeah.
You know.
I don't blame you, man. Wow, man.
Yeah,
dude, that's some. And y'all lived there for a year and a half, man.
Year and a half.
Oh, dude, no.
I was fortunate. I didn't have to be there a year and a half. I only visited, but sure enough, the visits were pretty frightening. So, first-hand experience is nothing like the movies.
Nothing like it. Well, cool. That's John's story. One of his stories. We're gonna have him back because he was telling me about some more stuff, and I'm like, ooh, you know.
Yeah, the old Vietnamese tales. Those are insane.
Oh my God, they're so scary. Well, is there anything you'd like to tell my audience? Any advice or anything that you'd like to, perhaps parting wisdom?
Parting wisdom. If you have anything that happens to you, reach out to someone who's a professional. If you need to talk to somebody, just do it. It helps a lot to portray your information. If you keep it in, no one will know. And it's okay. It's okay to believe. It's okay not to believe. It all depends on who you are or what your experience is. Some people will never get this opportunity. I wouldn't say opportunity, but some people will never experience things like this. But the ones that are experiencing things like this and are afraid, reach out. It's okay.
Yeah, especially reach out to my GhostCast.
Exactly.
John, thanks so much for sharing that with us. I mean, dude, we all appreciate it. I know I appreciate it. And man, we look forward to hearing from you again. Guys, this is Perez Gonzalez. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is My GhostCast with our guest, John Nguyen. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Therese, for taking such good care of John and for being the most handsome podcast host on the air today. And thanks also to John for his story. He told me that house was repainted and he tried to go back and find it, but couldn't. Did it ever really exist? If you like what you heard today, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Do not miss our Halloween episode featuring a famous guest, also with a beard. This is Shadow Cat. Till next time.